怎么说？
就是不怕对他就消费更了更好。
嗯
All right, so probably I can introduce a bit of structure for today. I will start with intro, just giving you understanding of my background because it is not purely marketing, and I would say it is vice versa. And the second part, I would tell about marketing specifically for Web3 startups. Then we'll discuss a bit of marketing strategies and best practices for blockchain marketing, and then move into interactive discussion. Again, I would like to spend as much time as possible to discuss your cases, to get your questions, and see how can I help for your specific problems. So yeah, as for my background, initially I had e-commerce and entrepreneurial background. So I've been building several e-commerce projects that were sold at some stage in 2017. I started to trade crypto and actually have pretty long trading journey. I've been trading since I was probably 13 years old, made my first deal on Forex, then moved to traditional markets, trade advanced tools like options, and then in 2017 moved to crypto trading, and not long time after it also received an offer to join Cointelegraph as a project manager. And in Cointelegraph, I made my career from project manager to COO within 1 year. I was project manager in global development department. So my next step was head of global development. I was responsible for all international versions except English one. So basically launched Korean, Latin America, including Brazilian and Hispanic speaking. In Europe, it was Serbian, Italian, and also Turkish versions. So it was kind of mini business in business for Cointelegraph. After Cointelegraph, I joined Tradealise. Tradealise is a social trading network and professional trading terminal, as I wanted to build the trading products. It was purely a startup, and it was pretty long journey in terms of product market fit, fundraising. I was raising myself and raised 1.5 million for product building, and a lot of different marketing activities as well. But I would say that Tradealise as a business, as a social trading company, didn't find product market fit. So it left only one product, professional trading terminal. So more B2B story. It was a absolutely different approach, but that's a really interesting and good case for pivoting, and that sometimes the way you're leading is not initial way you're planning. And after Tradealise, I joined Ladder. Ladder is NFT AMM market maker protocol, where I'm right now as well. And I'm also operations director at Chainstack. Chainstack is an infrastructure provider, probably top 5, something like that. I'm not sure that it is well-known name, but to compare where's like Infura, QuickNote, Alchemy, I think their names are a bit more well-known. Yeah, and so now I'm kind of combining Chainstack as a bigger company with more operations and bureaucracy, and Ladder as a small startup, and again, product market fit journey. because I love two directions. And if I would have only corporate career, I would be liking startup. And if I'm in a startup, I would be liking corporate part as well. So it's a good combination. And also, yeah, continue trading, but not kind of as a day trader, more swing trader with a midterm and long-term horizons.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Vitalis. It's such a great background, and I know we have some DeFi projects here today, so I'm sure they can definitely learn so much from you. So thanks for
yeah,
joining
great.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically it means that my marketing experience is mostly go to the market experience for startups, not kind of purely technically marketing. And by the way, I think that the main the main purpose of marketing for startup and for any small companies that haven't found product market fit yet is purely go to the market. Like you should not do anything then just go into the market. So and the second direction that is also probably important and could be helpful for you in terms of my competences are PR, as I used to work in Cointelegraph for a long time, and I understand PR Kitchen pretty well from internal experience. All right, so as for the marketing itself, as I mentioned, I think that importance of marketing for startups are mostly in go-to-the-market strategy, and go-to-the-market strategy starts and probably consists from three main bullets. First is ideal customer. So basically, you should very clearly understand whom you are selling and what you are selling. And for early stage company, it is also very important to kind of narrow this cycle as much as you can. If we're speaking based on my example, for example, for leather, like obviously our target audience is NFT traders, but NFT traders is a too wide target audience to start for most startups, except the fact you have big budgets and a big team. It means that you should narrow it into a much smaller audience, like flippers, long-term holders, whales, etc., and also narrow it into some different patterns, and then also narrow it into a different kind of behavior, because there are different types of customers with different needs and demands, different pains. So your goal in the first stage is to kind of decompose everything to these very small pieces where you can test very split audiences and validate your hypothesis for specific audiences. So the next thing is reaching channels. So basically answering the question, how are we going to reach them? And usually channels differs from early stage to later stage. At the early stage, it starts with friends and family, then moves to kind of referrals, some basic email marketing, then community, and then probably it moves to partners, content, outbound, and then moving to SEM, digital ads, and further. And so my very strong recommendation is to avoid everything during early stage, as digital ads, I would say everything that is used by big company should be avoided by you 100%. If you think that you can try Facebook ads and it could work, my recommendation, not waste even like 10 minutes of your time on that, especially in Web3. It will, of course, you will have some exceptions, but all in all, it will be a waste of time and money of your team. So try to focus very hard on early channels that really works, like referral, friends, and community. And basically, I think that marketing for Web2 and for Web3 startups are pretty the same in all aspects except only one, and this one is community, because like community in Web3 is really very strong and pillared. Under pillared, I mean that you can find your target audience just basically separated into different Twitter accounts, different Telegram accounts, and different Discord accounts. So it means that if you know what your target audience are reading or what your target audience are subscribed at, it is like half of the way to reach them. And the better you understand what information do they consume, the closer that you're reaching them. So, and the last stage is scaling. So it's very important to understand how specifically you're going to scale in terms of your go-market strategy and business model, because I see many companies very successful at one stage and then they fail at another stage. As for example, I can name, not as a failure, but as very clear and strong scaling strategy, I would name recent success of Blur as NFT trading marketplace. So basically, you see that Blur very successfully used airdrop narrative to attract initial traders and just initial users. Then with these initial users, they were extremely successful at collecting feedback and working on features that were really desired by users. What was completely opposite to OpenSea, as OpenSea was, first of all, very inflexible, secondly, very corporate. So basically, they were not hearing feedback, and it was good time building what is demanded when kind of user base were already craving for it. And then we see kind of probably third stage of Blur when they went to the mainnet, and now they're trying to convert this hype phase into user base phase. And again, it is a very risky part. So as you see that I'm honestly not sure that they will successfully do that, because that strategy that work at previous stage for them very nicely. It doesn't guarantee that these users will stay as core users, continuing using their platform. So my point is just, it is very important to understand how your strategy differs from one stage to another. And for example, in Web2, for many companies, it is just right timing and right approach, moving from freemium model to paid model, because when you scale, speed of growth is much more important than a cash flow. But at some stage, especially if you're preparing to raise not seed round, but post seed or A, then you start already showing cash flow to investors, and your cash flow models should be clear and scalable. So that's very important to explain. And moving to key marketing strategies, I would like to highlight community building. So basically, community is likely still the best working strategy for Web3 companies. And I know that it is such a buzzword, but just getting 200 subscribers in Twitter of random people using bounty hunters and airdrops will unlikely work for you. And I would also not recommend to spend money on just pumping your subscribe count, because they won't convert into users. If for your strategy it is important to create some buzz at this phase, then probably it's okay. But do not expect that this number will convert to users, and try to start converting to end users as early as you can, because you should experiment with every stage of the funnel. And if you won't do that, and if you would assume that a lot of followers will be transferred into your active users, you can have like very unexpected failure at very inappropriate moment. The second thing is role of influencers and content creators. I think that again, market is pretty hot, and there are a lot of shitty influencers in the market. But at the same time, influencers are the best way reaching to your audience. It just means that you should cherry picking them absolutely manually. Like, avoid all agencies, avoid all lists of influencers that you are offered. Choose one by one, and make kind of very weighted decision whether his audience fits you. And I would also recommend starting building relations with influencers as early as possible. Like, not reach them only when you're planning to do some campaigns, promos, or requesting price lists. Read them at early stage if you're sure about this influencer. Just trying to ask opinion. I know it is hard to reach in DMs, so try to be creative. Try to find ways to reach personally using your own network, because that's the thing that it is really hard to build in 2 weeks. And usually companies are kind of moving from one phase. Okay, we finished kind of major development milestone. Now we should move to marketing. And you have like 2, 3, 4 weeks to make a marketing strategy. But with influencers, quality of relations will be crucial for you. So as for successful marketing campaigns and influencers, I think that it is probably bad thing at Web3 that we are at winner takes it all market, and where you see, if you successfully made a KOL campaign, you'll likely continue to get free coverage for a very long time. And it is hard again to identify with Blur case, but they definitely started with some manual work and manual agreements with KOLs. But you see that after a while, when users came, when their statistics started to grow and it was obvious, everybody started to write threads and share information just on their own will. But I'm almost sure that they were paying or had some individual agreements with participants during the very early stage. So it's kind of, again, good, very successful case. Okay, moving to best practices for blockchain marketing. I think that it is very important for Web3 companies to be transparent, and building transparently helps with many aspects, including hiring, when you're just because hiring is very expensive for startups and very slow and inefficient because you don't have audience. So the best source of hiring for you when you scale is basically your audience and your community. And the second thing is high role of token economics in marketing. So it means that basically not only in marketing, but also in relationship buildings. It means that your token economics should include business development part a lot and partnership part a lot. And it doesn't mean that you should give 20% of your tokens to shitty influencers. It just means that you should have a very clear strategy how you're planning to reward your early supporters during early phase of development. And the last thing, but not the least, track everything. And if even if you do not use this information and you do not have clarity how to use certain metrics during this stage, it is very important to set up like simple analytic tools and check whether they work correctly during the very early stage, because in future you will have these questions and you will be, trust me, you'll be very happy getting back to analytics and see answers right away just because you started to track it. And if you once start tracking it, it means that you won't have a lot of answers, and you'll have to implement tracking tools and then lose like at least 2 months just measuring some KPI or metrics that you need to make it a conclusion, and is like very big waste of time. So yeah, that's pretty much it from the basics I wanted to share with you, and probably we can go straight to questions and then to cases that you'd like me to help you.
Yeah, if you have any questions or even specific to your project, I think now is a good time to ask Vitalis. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, Vitalis. Hello, Heidi.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. This is Camille. I'm the co-founder from Ink Finance. So regarding marketing, I do have a few questions. So first of all, that what we are building is a Web3 infra, and we position ourselves as a back-end office for all the DAOs and DeFi protocols who want to organize by themselves to do investment, or we are also helping them to do the clearing and meeting different regulations. So in this case, the difficulties we found on doing marketing is we have spent a lot of energy and also money on spreading the news about what we are doing and what we can help on the market to make it better word for Web3 era. However, what we notice is some articles might get attention from the people who are reading news, like they know, oh, this is something happening on Web3, but this is not that easy to attract users or to attract like C-end users to purchase our token in the future, or to attract real crypto investors, because they see what is changing, what is happening, but we spend money and it's got good feedback, but the real crypto world, it seems that they don't buy it. And then secondly, we have tried to getting engaged with some influencers. We picked different tiers of influencers. However, it turns out that when the influencers is holding AMAs or different panels, we do have some traffic from their followers. But those followers, they become what they are focused. They keep asking us, like, when your token is going to list, and when can we buy it, and where can we buy it. So this is a little bit awkward, because building an infra or a really big serious project. It takes time, and we will launch different MVPs. It takes a couple of months to reach a certain level. So would you please give me some suggestions, like in this scenario, how can we allocate our resource and energy for marketing?
Yeah, I just opened website to review it a bit. I have impressions that I'm lacking a bit of clarity in terms of simple problem solution, like probably I'm not target audience, like I'm not part of DAO, for example, or I do not need treasury management, but still I understand what does it mean, but I still cannot understand what problem and how do you solve. So yeah, just sometimes you're giving descriptions, and descriptions is one thing, and to sell you should just give clear picture what problem you're solving. And if you're solving problems that costed 10K per month and you're charging 5K per month, it is kind of no-brainer for customer. And so it is more like about psychology of decision making. Yeah, I would work on kind of positioning, product positioning in terms of value or value proposition, value pillars, and something like that. By the way, who are your competitors, or what solutions are used right now for problems like?
Okay.
So
Frankly, we don't see there's any peers in the market for building a DAO infrastructure, because most of the DAO tool in this market, they are only solve one or two part of the problems. Either they're doing an investment club like Syndicate, or they are doing just for pure proposing and voting solutions such as Snapshot. So we are combining everything together, and we allow the users to execute their voting result online. And so this is all-in-one package, and everything is on chain. And so at this moment, we can't find any competitors at this in the market now. But
yeah.
we do think about to making a spreadsheet or a table to compare ourselves to different the DAO tools.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, to be honest, like lacking of competitors usually is a bad sign, especially for experienced VC. I know that like, because it is riskiest, it means that it is riskiest business. So, and you could probably be really kind of discover of a new big market and take biggest share, but chance that this market is just it could be just early stage to discover it. I mean, not best timing for go to the market. That means that demand will probably appear in 5 years, but not now. There is a very realistic risk. And as far as I remember, with social medias, there were a lot of attempts of building social media before Facebook, but all of them failed just because some very different specific reasons, probably internet adoption, many other things. So I would recommend to evaluate this risk. And secondly, basically your customers would probably be B2B, right? So they're not yeah. So, and if it is B2B, then you can probably have some manual work and do things that not scale, just to work with try reaching end customers without marketing channels. Just do personal meetings, try to ask them for help, to interview, to kind of ask them how we can help to solve your problem and see how it goes. I mean, not to try to sell them, but to try to hear them out first.
Thank you, Vitalis. Actually, you are very, very correct. I think we are in a very early stage for the DAO infrastructure building. And what we are targeting right now is to, actually, we're switching our marketing goal to the business development goal. So we're trying to meet more small DAOs or investment funds and inviting them to use our infrastructure. So this is our side, but in the meantime, we want to get the attention from the market. So sometimes I find it's quite difficult. And also another question. Another question is, we are thinking about to approach different English media. What I mean is, we want to speak to the reporters from CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, and ask them to write a feature story instead of paying them to get our stories being labeled as sponsored. So I find out, I think those the reports, if they write it on their own instead of being paid, I think they have more passion on it and it's more valuable to the market, right? But I don't know how to approach to those reporters, and sometimes they just don't reply us. And I'm thinking about to give them like the first release, but still, I find I have some difficulties. Should I engage some marketing firms to do this, to pitch for us, or we keep?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I can disclose a bit about how media works. So you can imagine that journalists are basically employees of media company, and they have their own KPIs. So usually their KPIs are number of views. So basically, they should not strictly follow kind of yellow topics to cover, especially in good media's editor are controlling journalists not to write about yellow and appropriate things, but still they have to choose topics that will be read by maximum interesting for the audience. And of course, every company, every startup wants to get covered by media, but the truth is it doesn't go into their criteria. Like I can make an example. If you're writing about Facebook launching something on blockchain and getting 3,000 views when average is 10K, you can just tell, okay, it is Facebook, guys. Not every my article works. And if you're writing about Inc. Finance and it is getting 500 views, then you have, first of all, it is just not successful article, and secondly, you're getting your career risk that you basically starting to get suspected that you corrupt journalist and you took money to cover unknown project. And that is why in media, like, I would evaluate chances to get solo coverage for startup in tier 1 media as 0, like literally 0, if you do not have huge investors or huge round or some super well-known names. However, it is better to work with smaller or more niche medias. And it is also possible to start building relations with journalists as an expert if you have very deep expertise on several topics. It means that you won't get coverage as a company, but you can start building relations, and probably you will get invited to get some comments on selected topics. So it means that you'll have this kind of quote inside article that Camila commented on something on DAO, etc., etc. And it is kind of entrance step to build relations with media. But again, if you already closed round with your investors and not looking for another round in the very near future, I think it is better not to spend your energy on media.
Thank you. I got it. Very clear. Thank you a lot.
Awesome. Vitalis, we also have some questions on the chat. So Victor from Nama Finance asked, in terms of marketing, would you recommend to outsource or cooperate with other agency in the early stage as a DeFi project?
I would ask to elaborate, cooperate only as with a marketing agency. So means, yeah. Victor, do you mean with marketing agencies? Okay, yeah. My recommendation would be not to outsource anything at all. And because you should focus on channels that you can really build yourselves and build some value and transfer vision. And I could see some very unique cases where cooperation with agencies could work, but only if you treat agency as your employee. So it means that you're calling them every day, working with them. So basically, yeah, treating them as your own employee. And if agency is also ready to be treated by that, because otherwise, level of communication will be not as high as required during the early stage, and message that they will share with audience and marketing tools will be not so effective as they should be for early stage startup.
Got you. Okay.
Helen.
Yeah, so we have Helen. So her question is, when we're looking for investment now, so we have done too many partners or backers after. So they will launch their beta apps really soon. How they should do marketing to attract users and make them trust this app to go together until they can find successful partners.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if you're planning fundraising, seed fundraising in the nearest future, usually seed fundraising is not about users. I mean, very few companies already have users during seed stage, and seed stage is usually trust in the team. So team is the main thing that are evaluated during seed stage, and the stronger your team, the better its background is the most important. So of course, if you can get user growth, it is kind of awesome, and it is best case scenario. But in my experience, seed investments are usually team investments. So basically, try to focus on your, I don't know, not personal brand, but yeah, to position you yourself and your team properly.
Great, thanks. Next is Cedric. So his question is, how can we improve user retention period to launching the product? I think that's also a good question.
Yep. Cedric, could you please elaborate about your project? Is it B2C, B2B, and what is current probably retention numbers or churn numbers, what situation, because yeah, it is harder to comment in abstract. Web3 Go. Okay. Opening.
Yeah, Sergio, if you want, you can also unmute yourself.
Open data analytics platform.
Data service provider.
So basically, it means that users, you have good user flow who are trying your project, but they do not come back, right?
Yeah, they provide data analytics to developers.
Yeah, to be honest, churn and retention is a very complex topic, and it is one of the main problems and one of the main KPIs that we're working on at ChainStack. Yeah, changing churn just for 1% could be really big numbers in terms of annual revenues. So I would start just with identification of real numbers. I mean, identify when exactly users churn, at what stage, after what action, and double check that you have tracked everything properly. Because in my experience, most of the projects do not track it properly, and numbers could be wrong. And the second thing is to identify why users churn. If they churn not by specific reason, but just because they, for example, if they log in or register and then churn right after, it means that they had wrong expectations, and it could be a problem not about your product but about your marketing campaign. If you kind of leading not targeted audience to your product, you're getting this effect. And if it's not the case, then try using heat maps, see, for example, rage clicks, decompose what products were used, and yeah, just basically high level identify reasons why they left, whether they didn't have that they expected, or some of the features didn't work well, or it didn't give amount of value that was promised. Yeah, so I think it should be digged deeper to specify.
So basically doing more like root cause analysis to figure out where the problem is. Okay.
Yeah, and also exit interviews. I mean, try to reach some of the customers, asking them to just give you 10 minutes and ask them directly, or why did they leave?
Yeah, for sure. So from Outverse, I think it's a question about the investment. So some of the marketing strategy is pretty high cost, right? So how do you circum some of the higher cost marketing strategy, and where do you see the best money spent internally?
Probably there is no kind of ultimate answer for that. For different projects, it could be different channels, but my general recommendation: avoid high cost at all, especially that is offered by agencies. Just try small things and then scale when they work, because usually high cost is just hope, emotion, and you think that, okay, I will pay 10K now and everything will work out. No, it never work out this way.
So basically back to your suggestions, right? Start with like referrals and communities and
Yeah,
friends.
do very small things and then scale.
Mhm. That's a great
Probably these small things could be unscalable, but you should figure out how to scale them later.
Yeah. Cool. So another question from Annie. So as a GameFi data aggregation platforms in its very early stage, beyond collaborating with other GameFi projects to gain exposures, are there any other impactful marketing strategies you would recommend?
I think that partnerships is one of the lowest cost and most effective. Usually, it is no cost and most effective strategies. So, and if you, I would recommend to scale it, and if you're small and small to reach bigger players that you would like to reach, try to be more creative and do some job for them, give some value for them. Because, for example, if you have 2K subscribers on Twitter and the projects that you want to collaborate has 50K, obviously for them it is you have no value. So you should figure out what value you can give to them or position it properly as add value for their community, for their users. Try to build relations a bit. Yeah, and it is impossible to tell just to give a key what channels to use. Try using testing different channels and see what works for you.
Okay, makes sense. Great. I think that's all the questions that we have been raised in the chat box. Okay, we have one more from Binary Protocol. In your experience, do you have case of customer acquisitions, not only Twitters and Discord subscribers with Web3 contribution programs and funnels?
Am I getting this right that it's something like through Crew3? I'm just checking what is Crew3, for example. Yeah, probably I need some elaboration because it's not very clear. You can.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself, I think.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Dima. I'm co-founder of Binary Protocol. Nice to meet you, Vitalis. The Crew3 is a tool for contributions in project where you can retweet projects, when you can invite your friends to any specific project and DC to contribute on the early bird stage. And during this campaign, we have a lot actually of Twitter and Discord, Telegram subscribers. But do you have any specific cases to work with, such as programs, with such as tools? And do you have any cases when the subscribers getting to be your customers in the future? Or how do you think, is it works correctly, or it's just the counts in your Twitter account?
Yeah, I think it is if I'm getting this right, it is a good tool and a good way. At Ledger, we had experience with Tractor. As far as I remember, this Tractor, they are just also kind of tool that helps to convert users accomplishing different tasks. Also, like very basic Linktree for Twitter Spaces and AMAs works for us. But yeah, the two names I could recommend, and basically, if it is free, just try everything. and yeah, never knows what works.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Let me share a link for Trainter.
Yeah, thanks.
Right. Any other questions left? Yeah. If no, my last recommendation would be just do things that do not scale at early stage. Like probably you know that Tinder, founders of Tinder were visiting campus parties physically and we're just showing app from hands to hands during first couple of months. So yeah, everything starts from very small things, and don't be afraid of doing these small things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vitalis. Do you have any homework for the group that they might
Oh, actually, yes.
to-
I don't like homework progress you do, but yeah, I would have two tasks. First is describe 3 buyer personas, so basically target customers, and second, design testing for channels, for at least 3 channels that you're planning to use for marketing. Under this testing design, I mean that you should have clear perspective what results you would like to get and how to measure whether it was successful or no. For example, okay, we need to get 1,000 views from this channel for this cost. If our CTR is higher than N or X number, then it works. If it is lower, then not. Something like that. I can follow it up as a text after we finish.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have one question, Vitalis, on the task.
Yep.
Okay, so when you say the design 3 channels for marketing, can you give an example? Because I'm not very clear on, like, you mean the social media channel or for a certain market or PR release to have as many as views. So would you explain it?
Yeah, I mean, for example, one of the channels could be KOLs. Second channel is like giveaway, and basically you're making an assumption and also defining what you would name success and what you would name failure, and something in between also could work. And basically designing for 3 different channels this kind of experiment or test marketing campaign of what we should do and how you are going to measure it. Because
okay,
one of the problem I also noticed that projects are doing experiments, but they do not analyze outcomes. So they are just keeping doing a lot of things and do not reflect much on what happened, and therefore they do not have a clear understanding should they continue doing it or no, except some obvious situations.
thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for participating. I think today's panel discussion is pretty good. Hopefully you have some really good takeaway. Again, thanks Vitalis for your time. It's great to have you as our mentors. And he's also available in our chat group. So if you have further questions, I'm sure he's really willing to help. Yeah, thank you
Sure.
so
Thanks
much.
for having me, and
Yeah.
good luck, guys.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.